Okay. All right, so let's get jumping this morning. Let's go into Psalms 142 this morning. I hope y'all had a good prayer. Y'all sound mighty quiet and dry. So I hope y'all all right. Hope y'all had good prayer. Usually you can hear some interaction and all going on, but ain't nothing going on when I come in just now. So I hope y'all all right.
Yes, ma'am, as well.
Psalms 142. Yeah, Psalms 142. And we're still in the war within. Yeah. The war within. We're still in the war within. We're going to see it from a different angle. Today. Psalms 142, and as always, I'm in the KJV unless I tell you something different. But that's where I am. And so this is part 3. And it's the war within. And again, it started Psalms 142. Let's go to verse 1 here. This is a short chapter. It only has 7 verses in it. But it's something that I want to pull out of it to kind of help recalibrate our minds in the way that we have been taught. I think before I start, let me just open up with asking a couple of questions. What have you been taught, or what is it that you think when you talk to God? Do you think that it's okay to talk to God about problems that you have, or complain about problems, mention to him about problems, or should you just go with the flow of problems? Maybe some things that you don't like. What is it that what is your thoughts on it? Like, for instance, what I'm saying is some people have been taught that you don't question God. So I want to know where y'all concerning that position right there. Where are you? What are your thoughts and your take as far as how you are to approach God?
I think I'm learning. My take is to approach him in honesty with whatever I have going on, and just being, and allowing him to commune with me. That's where I've been discovering my path. Before, I was the type to just kind of go along, maybe even avoided prayer in some essence or whatever. But I think that's where I am regarding things. It's just learning how to communicate with him and within all situations.
Okay. All right. Somebody else. What is it that what is your stance when it comes to talking to God, your approach? What do you think about, what have you been taught, or what is it that you think yourself of how you are to approach God regarding situations?
Well, as a child of God, sometimes we go to him as a child. Meaning, question like, why I'm not married, or, not nothing defensive or anything like that, though, but just, questions like that in general, but not meaning it. Why is it me that gotta suffer this trial, or this issue?
Okay.
But not questioning him directly like that, just because the flesh is questioning it.
Okay, so you're saying basically questioning for understanding.
That's right.
Yeah, you want understanding, okay, but it's a respect to it. Okay, that's good. All right, somebody else, tell me, what is your approach, your take on approaching God? What have you been taught, or what is it that you feel yourself, and how we are to communicate with God?
Me, it's been situations where instead of just outright questioning a God, it'll be more or less so, is God, I don't understand why, why did this happen to me or to my kids or family or something, I don't understand, it's asking a question without asking the question, by saying that I don't understand what's going on. Why did it have to happen like that?
Okay. Okay, you somewhat in the same thing that Rhoda was saying then, questioning for understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got you. All right, somebody else. Give me somebody else. I think somebody else was trying to share too. What is your approach on talking to God about things?
Mine is to be, I think you shouldn't question God because He knows the beginning and the end, and to be, just be honest with God when you go to Him in prayer.
Okay, but let me show you. You know where I don't understand that is you say you shouldn't question him, but then you should be honest with him. That's kind of contradictory to me. Help me understand that.
I don't know. That's just the first thing that came to my head. My head is clogged up right now, so I was just trying to come in and just share something as well. That's my honesty.
Okay, so shouldn't question. That may be something that you were taught because we have been taught. You know, it has been said that you shouldn't question
Don't question God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good. That's good. Anybody else? Have you heard that you shouldn't question God? I know. See, me and Neat said we have. Have y'all heard that or been convinced of that you shouldn't question God?
I've
heard it, but I ain't been convinced.
Okay. All right. So most of us have heard it. You know that you shouldn't question God. All right. So let me switch to another gear. What do y'all feel, or what do you know about going to God with a complaint?
When I have something that's like when I'm talking to God, I have to come to Him, and I'm real open about it. I've learned this, and I did hear like you shouldn't question God, but if it also tells me that I can come to God as I am, and He can meet me where I'm at, I feel like I need to be open and honest and tell Him, hey, this is where I'm at. I mean, it's not a form of disrespect because I have to say I don't understand where it is that I'm at in this situation. I don't understand where it was my next step. I have to ask what is going on in order to know or to get some understanding about what do I need to do for moving forward from where I'm at now. That's why I ask. And then when I come to Him, I'm real open and honest about where I am because I need Him to meet me where I'm at. I mean, I need Him to know, even though He knows it, I need Him to hear me where I'm at. He knows where I'm at, but I need to like verbally confess this is where I'm at. Hey, I messed up. I need you again. I'm knocking at the door again. I need to be open, honest, and transparent. I come to God. I get to talking to God like we on the phone. Hey, God, let me tell you what this chick did at work. I almost flipped over a desk, but I'm sorry. But I know you got me. I have to. Sometimes that is my only sane point. It's just being open and honest right then and there.
Awesome. So how do y'all feel about going to God with complaints? I mean, Pinker just gave her take on it, which she was saying that she's okay with going to God about complaints. How do y'all feel about going to God complaining?
I go to God to it's not complaining. It's asking for His guidance through the issue. With my siblings, with my job, people on the job, repetitive stuff. That's my intake on it.
Okay. So why is it that y'all don't feel comfortable using the word complaining?
I'll say from my take is complaints deafen the ears for understanding because complaining only helps you see it from your perspective. It does not allow a reciprocation of conversation between you and God because you're just moping in that thing. You can't hear Him.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Let's talk about it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ron.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't think it's, I'm trying to get another word from complaining. Because it's like, let me give you an example. My brother constantly drives my car. He's been driving for about 3 or 4 years, white lies. Lord, if it's your will, just allow this boy to get his license. He's there for emergency purpose for daddy and for personal purpose, so he can't worry with nobody else. I constantly been doing that, but he still ain't got it. So I'm reaching out for some kind of miracle or some kind of something, and it's not. I don't see it as complaining. It's asking for help with the situation.
But really, to be honest with you, that's not even a situation that God gets involved in, and that's probably why you ain't seen no movement with it. That's a law decision. That's not a spiritual law. That's a law, like police law, that type law. We know that we're supposed to have driver's license to operate vehicles, so that's a law thing. That's not a spiritual thing. If it was a spiritual law being broken, that's different with God. But you have to understand that, you know what I'm saying? God said, just why Jesus said, I did not come to do away with the law, but that through me the law would be fulfilled. So what he was saying was when I get inside of you, you're not going to want to break the law. You're going to want to do the things that are supposed to be done. So that's more than likely why there's been no, it's just a matter of saying, hey, look, man, you ain't got no license, you can't drive. You know what I'm saying? It's just certain things that we ourselves have to do, or you deal with the consequences of whatever happened with this, the tickets or whatever it is. That's not a spiritual, that's not a spirit, that's not spiritual. It's not. So that's probably
that's my issue, and I got to deal with it accordingly. Like you said, that's the worldly law. That's the law of the world.
Yeah, that's our law. That's human law. That's human law. So he's breaking human laws. But what the downside to that is usually when we break human laws, it's usually triggers us to break spiritual laws as well. We'll be doing something we ain't got no business in the spirit because they tie in hand. It's kind of hard to be a good person in the natural and not be a good person in the spirit, just like it's vice versa. It's hard to be a bad person in the natural and then be good in the spirit. It's just they go hand in hand, because what comes out from what's on the inside of us is what projects on the outside of us. So if I'm good natured in the inside, then my expressions outwardly are going to be good natured. So he defined laws in some other places as well too. Like for instance, refusing to go and get the driver's license but still operate. That means that there are some spiritual laws that he's refused to put in place too, but he still want to operate. Like for instance, I'm just gonna give an example. Like for instance, say if a spiritual law is that you should be sowing seed or you should be giving, but I ain't gonna do it. But I'm still gonna go reap the benefits of it. But I'm not gonna do the part that I'm supposed to do. I still want the harvest of it, but I don't want to put the work in, the labor in for it. So there are, I can guarantee there are spiritual laws that are being broken too. And that's just with all of us. Anytime I get into something that I don't have any business, I automatically start looking at myself saying, you witch, you done broke a spiritual law right there. You know what I'm saying? I deal with myself. I talk crazy to myself like that, but I automatically start looking, because I know somewhere I done violated somewhere in the spirit as well, because they just go, they go hand in hand. So there is not a way that I could, pretend to be on the up and up in this area here, but I'm not on the up and up. I hope that's making sense to y'all. With what I'm saying. But I'm going to bring y'all into a whole another place, into a whole nother mind of understanding, because what I am seeing is that, some y'all have been, somewhere got a fear of the word complaint, complaint. And a lot of it is because of cultural things that have been put inside of us, things that people have said, and a lot of stuff that we have learned. And a lot of times we have to unlearn things. We just got to unlearn. So I want y'all to get in a mindset this morning to unlearn. I want you to go ahead and set your head up this morning. I'm about to unlearn something, because that's what's fixing to happen. We're about to unlearn something, but we're going to put it in its right perspective, in its right context of where it should be. So when the complaint, I'm going to give y'all, let's look at the word complaint. A complaint, based off of what definition Google has to say about it, is an expression of dissatisfaction. It's an expression of dissatisfaction. So when you look at expression is mostly tied to emotions. And an expression is something based off of the way I feel about something. So my expression shows a smile because I'm happy. I like what happened. So now my expression shows a glow. If I'm, mad about something, then the expression is different and the nostrils flare out, so that is an expression of dissatisfaction. Well, because we are people, we have a nature to house both of those capabilities. We can have the smile and we can have the nostrils flared out. Now, God gave us that. I want y'all to hear me. God gave us that, because that is part of God's nature as well. God has the smile. A lot of times when I'm praying, I will say, Lord, cause your face, make your countenance to smile upon us and grant us peace. So that means that God is pleased and God is happy. He's smiling. But there have been times where God's nostril has been spread, where God had a dissatisfaction. And he made a complaint about something, when he had to demote Saul from the position that Saul was in. His complaint was you didn't respect me. You did not obey what I said to you. So his complaint was, because of your disobedience, you can no longer reign as king. So that was a complaint that God was giving. So I want y'all to understand, because in having a thorough relationship with God, you've got to know how to deal with God, and you've got to know how to interact with God in all facets, so that it is not a position of you dealing with some stuff internally, but you scared to say something about it. You're afraid to talk about it. Now, I want to make sure that I helped y'all understand there is a difference between pride and respect in having conversation. And I heard y'all saying that, Pinka, I heard Rhoda trying to say, that, hey, I try to stay within the bounds of respect. I try not to disrespect him. I have some questions, but I could tell that y'all were teeter-totting on the fact of trying to make sure that I don't go in a realm of disrespect, because you've been taught that you better not do that. It wasn't a teaching you to do it out of a respect for God. It was a teaching you to do it because you better not do that. If you do that, something is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You better not do it. Well, what I want to say to y'all is I want to help y'all today to understand that it's not about you better not do it, but it is about staying in the parameter of respect. If it is by means of, I'm just trying to, to understand the situation of what's going on, so I can have I like Pinka said something, and it hit. It was, when I can understand something, I know how to flow better. I can articulate, or I can move. I can handle the instructions better when I understand something. So you want me to bake a cake, so I need to have understanding. Okay, so what do those eggs do? Well, the eggs go out throughout the cake, and they give it the whatever it is, because maybe the helps with the moisture or however. And so what about the flour? Why do I have to have, with this type flour? It's because it does this. And so when you understand something, you are much fluent in talking to someone else about it and helping someone else to know why it is that it does what it does. So we've been taught, you don't go to God. Complaint has been put over, and sold over to us that it is just so wrong. You better not be complaining, to God, saying nothing. Don't you dare. But I want to take y'all to Psalms 142. Psalms 142, and see if we can't unlearn some things and finally get ourselves to a place where we can become more genuinely honest about what we're dealing with and establish a better relationship with God. I believe that if we establish a better relationship in our conversations with God, that we will inadvertently have better conversations with each other. I know that y'all of the mindset, well, you know what? I talk to God about everything. To be honest with you, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'll say that. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because it's some things when you done erred and you tend to want to shy back from God. You don't really want to mess with God, about that, with talking to him, with having to say to him, well, God, I just really like what it is that I'm doing. We done been told you better not talk to God like that. You can't go to God and tell God, listen, I have sex because I just like listen, I like sex. It's just, let's just go and tell the truth about it. I like it, and you feel like, wait a minute, that's God. I ain't my homegirl. You know what I'm saying? That's God. I can't just talk to God like that. I can't just tell God that, I like having some sex, because automatically that displays or it reveals that I got a sex problem. You know what I'm saying? I got some demonic sex demons that I'm having to deal with. And so me going in front of a holy God and talking to him about a sex demon that I'm wrestling with, but I still want to keep, I can't really talk to God about that. I can't really mess with him about that. So I just shy back from that situation, but I talk to him about all of the other situations going on where, God, what I'm saying, I need you, if you could help me with this right here, you can help me with that right there. God, the kids is doing XYZ and this kind of stuff. If you could just help me with that type of stuff. But I'm not going to talk to you about, certain things that, well, I'm not going to have, conversation, conversation about, I'm not going to bother you, about that. So I'm not going to do that. Well, Psalms 142. And let's start at verse 1. There's 7 verses in here. Let's start at verse 1. And I got the King James Version. I'd be really trying to encourage y'all to learn the King James Version. If you got the baptism of the Holy Spirit, you can do the King James Version. You can. You're going to kind of set yourself off trying to do those other versions because they be changing words. And they trying to make it easier for people because you have to have the Holy Ghost in order to understand the Bible. That's just period. You're going to just be confused. And it's just the truth. You have people that don't have, I understand how you quit lying. That thing is spirit, it is spirit. And when you need to start, get yourself set up to get what it is, the main one that it is. Now, if you have to get you another one to kind of bring a little context to you after you done looked at the first one, that's fine. But don't just go to this second one. And these folks done took words out. They done showed where several versions done removed. I mean, literally have removed certain scriptures out and all because it was something that didn't feel as though it was fitting for them. And you got a LGBTQ Bible now. They don't them wrote their own Bible. You got all kinds of stuff that, that's going on now. So be very, very careful, and you can understand it. You just have to have the baptism of the Holy Spirit and ask God, hey, this is your word. Illuminate your word for me to give me understanding of what this is, and keep your phone by you to have, so you can Google some words to see exactly what these words mean, because every one of them is intricate in the place of where it sits. And so Psalms 142 verse 1 says, I cried unto the Lord with my voice. So this is David. He's talking about a conversation now. I done cried to the Lord with my voice unto the Lord did I make my supplication. Supplication is his request. I made my supplication. I'm having conversation with him. I'm talking to him about some things that I request. Then he goes to verse 2 and says, I poured out my what? Somebody tell me, what do you see? What's the next thing he said?
Complaint.
So it must mean that it's okay.
No, you're right.
It's just all about the manner of how you do it. Pride versus respect. Pride is, why did you let that happen? You wrong for that. And don't do that now. I mean, even if you find yourself in that position to do that, and you do that, I would say to you, bring yourself down real quick and say you're sorry. He said, I poured out my complaint. Notice what he says next. Before him. He's talking to God, ain't he?
Yeah.
He said, I'm in God's face. He starts out by saying he made his supplication. So he's saying, I asked God for some things, but then after I got through talking to him about some things, I had to just come out and be honest and say, listen, man, I don't like such and such. I don't like that. Yeah, I gotta complain about this right here. Why is it that these people can keep doing X, Y, Z, but these people over here get penalized for it? See, he's saying, I have a dissatisfaction. Remember, that's what complaint means, is an expression of a dissatisfaction. So this is why I want y'all to understand this, and the reason why you're going to be in this place sometime of having a dissatisfaction. The world is full of dissatisfaction. People are not fair. There's an unfairness that's inside of the world. So you're going to see dissatisfaction. There is favoritism, which warrants dissatisfaction. One parent doing more for one than the other. That's a dissatisfaction. So you can't pretend that it's not real. Injustices. Number one, dissatisfaction. So you can't pretend that it's not real. But God, I feel you, Father. Okay, I love you, man. So in order for a change to come to it, there has to be expression about it. Civil rights movement. A change didn't come about until there was some expression about it, right or wrong. I'm asking a question.
Right.
That's right.
So when there is expression about it, it gives an opportunity for change. It gives an opportunity for some things to change when there is expression about it. But if you are of a mindset of thinking that I can't express about it, what are the chances of the change about it?
It's not happening.
I tell you what, tell me what can happen before I tell y'all. If I can't express myself about it, what can happen?
You're going to rebel.
Okay, rebellion. Anybody
Fall
else?
deeper in pride.
All right, pride. Anybody else? What's going to happen? All right, and he said no change. What? Okay, upset. Yep. Okay. Anybody else? What else? What can happen with something that you cannot express yourself about, that you have a dissatisfaction about? What is something that can happen?
Worrying.
Yeah.
Bitterness. You
Oh,
don't hold it in.
that's the one right there. That's the
Very
one.
simple.
That's the one. That bitterness. That's the no. That's the one. That's the one. Bitterness. Bitterness. That is the one. That's the one. It can have bitterness. If there is a situation where you feel like you cannot express yourself, you can't express yourself, and it can set up a bitterness on the inside. Okay. So David, we see here, he says, I poured out. I want y'all to pay attention to this. Poured. I want you to tell me what goes through you when you think of pouring. Somebody tell me the first thing that you thought when you heard the word pour. What does that say?
Release.
Abundance.
Okay, we got to release. And what else? What did you say, Rhoda?
Abundance. I was thinking like pouring tea into a cup. There's abundance of it coming out.
Okay. All right. So like a release. Anybody else? What did you think when you heard the word pour?
It goes in the line of kind of like release, but when I hear like he poured himself out, it was just like he emptied himself. He emptied what was inside of him. He let it all go. It's in the line of release, but it also, when I say I poured something out, I know I try to empty what's in me.
Exactly. Emptying. That's the word that I want y'all to understand. He's saying, I emptied out my complaint before him. It's a reason why it has to be the word empty. Because if I don't tell it all, I'm still holding some. If I don't deal with every bit of it, I'm still, God, I bless you, I'm still holding something. If I only tell you half of it, I still got another half that can plague me. So when he talks about it, he said, I emptied out my complaint before him. Check it out what he said. I emptied out my complaint before him, which means he wasn't talking to God from the side. He was having a direct conversation with God. A direct conversation. I emptied out my complaints before him. I said, hey, come here. I need to talk to you. Can you and I sit down and have conversation? Do y'all know that that is one of the greatest things that's fought against in the world? It's people sitting down having conversation. It's find all different types of alternatives now. Try to figure out what I'm thinking. I ain't with it. I don't like that. Try to figure out where I am. I ain't finna do all that. I'm just talking about me personally. I don't like all that. Just sit down and have conversation about it, because he says, I poured out my complaint, or I emptied my complaint before him. I'm talking directly to him about what it is that's going on. And that is one of the greatest things that is fought against now. That is one of the reasons why you see marriages going through. That's one of the reasons why you see friendships going through. One of the reasons why you see employer and employees going through, and all because people don't know how to empty out the complaint. Now, because you have a complaint does not mean that there has to be destruction. in the relationship. It doesn't mean that. That's why I told y'all we're going to unlearn some stuff today, and I'm going to kill some stuff today just to put your mind in a whole nother place. It does not mean that, but see, it's been persuaded to us that that's what it means. And so it has stifled a lot of conversations because I don't want no problems. I don't want us to fall out. No. So it has done that, and it has put people in a position as to where they feel as though they cannot communicate. And so what happens when you deal with people that feel like they can't communicate, you're going to get one of two behaviors out of them. You're either going to get isolation, and they're going to turn into themselves, and they're going to just start doing some old reckless mess. And, internal reckless mess. Or they're going to, wild out. Become an aggressive nature against it. Like, no, you're not going to stop me from saying what I got to say. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say it, and it'll usually come at inappropriate times. It may have some choice words attached to it and all, because it's either going to be I'm going to shut down about it, or either I'm going to, ain't nobody going to stop me from saying anything that I want to say anymore. So you're going to have either one of the two that is going to happen with individuals when they have been taught wrong as it relates to a complaint. When it hasn't been educated to them right and properly of how to do it. And I don't think there's no better principle to teach us how to do it than to be taught by the Bible. David clearly says here, he has conversations with God. He starts out talking to God, and he starts out by saying, I'm going to make my supplication because this is what we think, we are supposed to do. I mean, this is God, don't misunderstand. This is the man himself that I'm talking to. So I can't just run up on him any kind of way, so let me just slide on in here and talk to him about, hey man, dude, I got a couple of things that I would like to see you work on, for me. Give me some tips and some insights on, what I can do about a couple of things. But deep down inside, he's boiling because there is an injustice that's going on that he's not too thrilled with. He particularly does not like. So he has this injustice. So as soon as he gets finished making this supplication, he now brings himself to a bold point of saying, all right, listen, let me talk to you about these complaints that I got. I love it because he was honest. I truly believe that he tried to just have the conversation, and go about the normal formalities of things. But it was too overwhelming to him, to the point that he was like, no, I gotta say this. I gotta talk to you about this, because if I don't talk to you about this, I'm ain't no telling what I'm liable to do, if I don't communicate this to you. And so my biggest thing is I want y'all to understand, learn to talk about things. Learn to talk about things. Learn it's okay to talk about things, even in the realm of having a complaint. A complaint only means that it is an expression of dissatisfaction, and sometimes our dissatisfaction can be off. That's true, but it's all about the way you handle having that conversation. So let's look a little bit further and see if David talks about what his dissatisfaction is. I haven't really gone ahead. I caught this, and I knew I was assigned to talk about it today. So verse 3, this is Psalms 142 and verse 3 in the King James Version. Now it says this right here. Okay, let me finish this. He says, I brought I brought or emptied out my complaint before him. Oh, Lou, wait, hold on before I go to verse 3. He says, I showed before him my trouble. Oh, I want y'all to see how exposed and how naked David actually came. I showed him my trouble. He was, look, man, hey, I got some issues, dude. I'm telling you, I got some issues. Maybe my issues have come out of the things that I haven't dealt with in my life. Maybe that's what it is, whatever reason it is. Maybe I'm doing like I'm doing because I got some emotional stuff that I haven't dealt with, and it's done put me in trouble. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm coming to you to open up every bit of this and show you exactly where it is that I am, what's actually happening. So I showed before him. Notice now, he brought the complaint before God. Then he showed God what was actually going on. And he's doing every bit of this before God, right in front of God. So he's not sending God a letter in a bottle. He didn't send God an email. He's before God, talking to God. He's not, he didn't go on Facebook and subliminally post. He's in God's face and he's talking to God concerning what it is that he has going on. So verse 3 says, when my spirit was overwhelmed within me. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Oh, there goes a sign. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path. He said, man, look, listen, no matter what condition I've been in, no matter what condition or state that I am in right now, you know my path. My spirit has began. It has just been overwhelmed. I have dealt with so much stuff and had so many things going on till I just don't know what to do. I'm just oblivious to things. I'm just lost when it comes to things. He says, but thou knewest my path. He says, in the way wherein I walked, have they privily laid a snare for me. So now he starts talking to God about where he believes these problems are starting to come from, where he believes his anxiety is starting to come from. If y'all will hear the Holy Ghost today, God gonna help you today. Something should happen with your brain today. I'm just telling you, something should happen in your brain today. It should just be recalibrated today. Now he says, he goes and he talks to him. He says, look, when my spirit was overwhelmed within me, man, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with me. I can't seem to catch a grip on what's happening. I'm just overwhelmed within me. What's happening here? He says, in the way wherein I walk, they have privily laid a snare for me. Now let me go ahead and help y'all to understand spiritual warfare. Let's get in it. Now come into Delphine's world. Now I welcome you into my world. Let me help y'all to understand what's going on. A lot of what you deal with sometimes has nothing to do. I'm going to give it 50% of nothing to do with what you have going on. There be snares that be privily laid for you, because I want y'all to know this. It has already been identified who David is. It is already been identified who David is and what it is that David has to do. It has already been identified who you are. I don't care. I almost said something ugly, then I had to catch myself. I don't care how much mess you may find yourself in. It's done been identified who you are and what you are supposed to be doing in this earth. And that is the reason why the battle is so great against your life, because it's been identified. It's done been some little things that's done been said. I guarantee you, when every one of you look back at your life, somebody done threw some type of hint about something. You know what, you know what I'm saying? You a little prayer warrior, ain't you? Yeah, you God, you know what I'm saying? And you were this and that. It's something. I see you honey, you like a little preacher or something, it's something that's done been said about your life. I see you, honey. I see great things happening for you. You good at what you do. It's done been some things that's done been said about your life that has caused hell to have an alert to know that if I don't stop her, if I don't put something in the pathway to keep her from getting to where it is that she's destined to get. It's going to be some problems. It's going to seriously be some straight issues if I don't cop her and shut her down. I wondered a whole lot in my life about what was going on. Why in the world, God, here it is with everything that's happened. I'm born February 1st, 1975. It is crazy with everything that happens. My last name is Lee, shouldn't be a Lee. My daddy ain't no Lee, but you know your mama them do all kind of stuff. So I take on the last name of Lee, and my doctor that delivers me, his last name is Lee, and tells my mom, says this child is going to be born February 1st. My mama don't believe him, but she's carrying me. I think I'm going to go longer than February the 1st. 12 o'clock midnight, Al said her water broke right at midnight with this baby to come about in the wee morning, to be born. And it is so crazy because things starts happening to this baby all throughout the course of what's, with this baby. The baby, it literally takes sick, and they trying to figure out what's wrong with the child. I'm in the hospital. I take sick, real bad sick, they saying. But my mama said that no matter what they were saying was wrong with me, I kept going right on. They would come and I be done got down out the baby bed, she said, and all kind of stuff. She done took a nap. She get up, realize I'm down the hallway because I done got out the baby bed, but I'm supposed to be this baby that's supposed to be so sick. Well, then the iron falls on my arm, gives me such a bad scar that I still have right here today. All types of stuff. Well, then the baby keeps on growing, and the baby just goes through so much stuff. I can remember one of the greatest traumatic parts of pain that I felt was when I went up at the schoolhouse in Op. There used to be this little gully. It was like a concrete thing, and I don't know why people used to put glass in that thing. It used to have a whole lot of glass in it. Right when you coming from Miss Leaper's to turn into the schoolhouse park, the little yard right there, they would break glass and put glass in this thing. And I remember being a little girl and going up there and we playing, and something happened and I got pushed over into the thing and it just cut my hand up. And that was one of the reasons why they chose to get that from there, because it was such a safety hazard, where you have this little child that is dealing with all of these things. And I can remember standing in the schoolhouse parking lot, looking over at my mama's house and just seeing all the people that were there at my mama's house. And I was crying because I had to leave and I had to go to school because I wanted to be where all the happenings was. But I had to go to school, and James Earl Dozier, he whooped me and made me go to school that day up at the Head Start. I remember this stuff happening to me, most traumatic experience that would happen, but it had everything to do with the fact that the child was called for greatness. It had everything to do was that the child was born for it was destined to do some great things. So how about I start doing some things to her to try to end her life or try to cause her life to be derailed from what it is that she's purposed to actually do? How about I start doing that? So David, now it is known that is some special things about his life. He starts getting hammered from the very beginning as a little boy. Why in the world would you send your littlest boy out there to take care of sheep and keep your strong boys in the house? Jesse, what are you doing? What in the world would make a parent think that I need to send my little rugged boy out here to take care of sheep but keep my big strong boys in the house? See, it was a hit out on his life from the very beginning. And so he says, look, I cry out to the Lord. I'm talking to him about some things. I make my complaint to him. Why? Because I was born. Complaints became a part of my nature because I saw the injustices that was going on. I don't want y'all to think by no means that you cannot talk to God from that area. Now, you're going to make sure that you don't do it from a position of pride. No, please don't disrespect him and run up on him in no bad way. But don't ever think that you cannot talk to him about about a complaint about something. It is an injustice. Let me show you further what I'm talking about. When you pray and talk to God about him healing cancer, you are coming with a complaint. What you are saying is the spirit of infirmity has attacked such and such body, God, and I don't like it. And so I am calling for the spirit of healing to become a part of their life. See, that's an injustice. It is a complaint, but it has been rooted inside of our heads that if we have a complaint about something, now we become troublemakers. But really, it's not about being a troublemaker. It is about being a difference maker. It is about making a difference in something. So now David is at the point in verse 3 where he begins to reveal what's really going on. He says, now I see what's happened. They done privately laid snares for me. So a vast majority of what I'm dealing with possibly has nothing to do with me and the decisions that I make. It's because there are snares that have been set. Well, I know she's going to come this way right here. So this is what you do. I want you to put some spikes in the road. Because I know this is the way she's going to travel. I know that she's going to do this like this. Go here in this path right here. So lay some snares to try to keep her. Because whatever, no matter what we got to do, we need to stop her from achieving what it is that she needs to achieve. We need to keep her from that. Verse 4. Psalms 142, verse 4. He says, I looked on my right hand, and behold, there was no man that would know me. I'll show y'all something with that. Refuge failed me, he said, and no man cared for my soul. He found himself in a position of feeling abandoned, feeling by himself. In most situations where there is a complaint about something, abandonment is usually attached to it. Because of it being a complaint, and it would seem as though nobody really understands. You know, you have 100 people, you do 100 people survey, you take a hamburger and you serve the hamburger to 100 people, and 98 people, oh God, this is good, you know, I love this or whatever, and you got the 2 that have complaint. You know, one might say, well, you know, it wasn't cooked well, you know, as well done as I like for it to be, and the other one, you know, it's like, well, it just wasn't, you know, the meat wasn't thick enough. I think it could have been a thick enough meat or whatever. So they got now they got complaints. Well, then it looks like we're the problem because we're not with the majority. So it looks like we are the issue because we're not with, again, the majority. But if you have the right person that can handle the correct, you know, the constructive criticism, when in fact you already put it out there for the 100 people to give you their opinion about it, so why would you get upset? Now, many times that's what happens with us. We still, even though the opportunity is presented to us, we still won't take it. You ever had a friend to tell you, you know, girl, you can talk to me, you know, you can talk to me, it ain't nothing that we can't talk about. You know, I do that as a pastor. You know, I be like, y'all can talk to me. It's nothing that, you know, you can't talk to me about. I mind the way you come to me, but it ain't nothing you can't come to me to talk to me about. So then, this now has been given as an open forum for you to do. But check out how many times you still won't do it. All because maybe you've been taught that a complaint is a wrong approach concerning something. But not if the opportunity has been given to you for you to say it, for you to communicate about it. God has given us the opportunity to talk to him about whether it's good or whether it's bad. And that is because he has the capability of changing it. But he needs to know that something is wrong in order for him to change it. If you don't tell him that something is wrong, he will think you're all right with it. You know, if someone is sitting, if someone has gotten a sickness diagnosis, doctors done come in and gave them some type of diagnosis, and they never say anything about it, you would be of the persuasion that they were okay with it. So they ain't ever make no complaint. They didn't ever remember a complaint as an expression of dissatisfaction. So they didn't ever make any complaint about it, so they must have been okay with it. They must have been fine with it. But if you are willing to communicate about it, well, then God can make changes with it. I believe most friendships don't survive because people don't know how to do that particular thing. You know, that it is cool when it's, laughing and giggling and all, but whenever it comes to a point of having to deal with something, then it's like the whole ambience changes in the relationship when it shouldn't. So, let me help y'all understand a little more in this. David says, there was some snares that was previously set up for me. Every one of y'all, under the sound of my voice, you got some snares. You can be the type of person, I really don't fool with folk. I really don't deal with people. I've come to find out that don't cut it. Because it's not about whether you deal with people or not. It's about your purpose. What you were designed to do in this earth. It's about that. And because you have that purpose, you have what you have been designed to do, that's what the snares are after. Not wanting us to achieve that. So then David finds himself in a place where he says he's by himself. He feels abandoned. Why? Because I'm not really riding with what's going on. So I feel as though I'm alone. Verse 5, he says, I cried unto thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my refuge and my portion in the land of the living. He's doing all of this in one conversation with God. Verse 6, he says, attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors. Now, the word persecution is translated as to speak against. When there was great persecution going on in the land, anywhere in the Bible where you see that there was great persecution, I mean, it was a whole bunch of talking going on. And they persecuted them. It didn't mean that they were beating them. It meant they were speaking against them. They were calling ahead of places, before they could get, to places, or trying to get into the ears of people that they knew they had influence with, to talk those people out of liking them, trying to persuade them that they were not trustworthy people. So it was the persecution. So he said, deliver me from my persecutors. Remember, he had just said they privately lay snares for me. This is all talking about the same situation. So deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. So now let's look at that position that he finds himself in. Anytime that we have, find ourselves in a place of complaint, remember, it usually makes you feel alone. Like I'm probably the only one that feels like this. Just for context purposes, I'm fishing to bring something out to the light. This is not to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but I want to bring something out just to explain what I'm saying. There was an individual that had a complaint, I don't know if it was complaint or complaints, might have had an S on it, I don't know, against me. They had found themselves in a position of allowing some things, to nestle in their heart against me. Well, what they did was they started going to other people to see what they thought, to see if they nestled any complaints in their heart against me. Because usually with a complaint, it's kind of isolated, because a lot of times it is the opinion of what we think about something. It's not to say that it's not, that I'm not going to say that it's not right, but it is usually an opinion of what we think, about something. And so in order for it to become a movement, we need to bring others in for it to become a movement. Okay, I'll further explain it to you. Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, it was noted that he was not the first person to have a issue with civil rights movement, but he was the first person to become notable, that took a stand. A lot of people have complaints about stuff, but they ain't gonna say nothing about it. They undercover got complaints, but they're not gonna be the ones to be bold enough to say anything about it. But Martin became the one that would, verbally, he outwardly would talk about the complaints that he had. And so he starts out now, he's this one person. But he's got to get into more people, to talking to more people, to bring them of the persuasion of what it is that he's seeing that is an injustice before it can actually become a movement. So while David is in this place, when he first initially talks about the complaint, and the complaint is they have privately laid snares for me. So he's now open to a realm of spiritual warfare that maybe the other people around him have not seen yet. So he's in a place of feeling isolated, like don't nobody understand what I got going on, I'm trying to tell them folk ain't doing, somebody doing something, and I know they doing something, but they don't understand it from that point, of seeing that that's what's actually happening. So now he feels like he's by himself. I looked to my right hand, and behold, there was no man that could know me. So he was saying, didn't nobody understand what was going on with me? He says, refuge failed me. Now, refuge is a place of safety. So he's saying where I was supposed to be safe, they let me down, and no man cared for my soul, my mind, my emotions, and my will. Well, nobody paying no attention to what's going on with me, and I'm steady trying to say that these folks done set some snares up to try to hurt me. So he begins to cry out to the Lord, and he's having to talk to God about it. So when he gets down to a place where he's telling God, and he gets to verse 6, attend unto my cry. He says, I'm very low, man. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. He begins to think that they are more stronger than what he is, because he felt as though he was by himself. I'm having to deal with this alone by myself. And so what happened back to the situation I'm telling y'all about, what the young lady did was she wanted to see, was anybody else having these issues or these thoughts of what was going on as well, because she had done developed a complaint or complaints or what have you, but didn't really know how to handle it, didn't know how to effectively handle it as it should have been handled. So now it's let me try to bring in some more people so I can, try to, just pollute the whole circle. And so what you get into then is you start getting into a place of strife, because that's what starts happening when you have a complaint on the inside but don't know how to properly or effectively talk about this complaint with who it needs to be talked to with. So now you done got in touch with somebody else, and now you're talking to them and you're projecting this complaint in on them to see what it is that they have to say about things. So verse 7, let me finish the text and then I'll exegete more. Verse 7, David says, bring my soul out of prison. Listen to where the man said, this done locked me up. This has got me locked up. When you do not deal with things internally, it will put you in prison. My soul, he says, listen, bring my soul out of prison that I may praise thy name. The righteous shall compass me about, for thou shalt deal bountifully with me. So he said, look, I'm in a place. I done allowed myself to get in a place, to get in a situation. But I know who I need to go to concerning this. I need to go where a difference can be made concerning this. Let me give y'all a nugget of wisdom. When you talk to people about some things, if they don't warrant, don't have a position to help you out of that situation, identify what's going on with you. Identify and call yourself to the carpet. Call yourself to the carpet. Cuss yourself out like I do, if that's what you got to do. Because chances are, let me go back to the situation that happened with me. Chances are, you're going to these people to have conversation with these people in a manner to pollute them, or an effort to pollute them, because you're not dealing with what you need to deal with. So now you're spewing to cause strife and discord in other places. I'm trying to tell y'all to help you to understand that it's God, one, that you would need to talk to about this complaint. Number two, talk to where the complaint is, to whom you have the complaint with. Find way to do that. Now, you may have to talk to God to say, you know what, can I get you to, grant a particular time for me to be able to express this, for me to be able to talk, to talk to him about this, or however. There is a strategy or a wisdom that would have to be used in it. And just wait. Just wait on God to do that. And because God knows to the degree that something affects us, he knows whether he needs to go ahead and nip that thing on in the bud right then, so that it doesn't continue to, torture you and put you in more of a bad place, or whether it is something that he can allow to progress or to work out after a period of time. There have been some situations that I've had to fix quick, but then there have been some where it have been like years before things were able to be fixed with it. And then we were able to work something out. So you have to know that you can talk to God as it relates to something you have a complaint about. I want y'all to know that. You can. You see, David clearly said, look, I got a complaint, man. I have a complaint. It's as an injustice. I have a complaint about something. As the people that adhere to my voice, I want y'all to know, even as it relates to me, talk to God about it, or get in contact with me. I want us to do things right. And I believe that if we do things right, that we'll house right relationships. I've seen mass destructions in relationships, and I don't want to see any more if I can play my part to help it. Mass destructions in relationships because people didn't handle things like they should have properly handled it. Because they were maybe of a persuasion that I might not say nothing, because if I say something, then da-da-da-da-da-da. They're going to be mad, you know. Possibly they're not going to be mad. Or I better not say nothing, you know, for whatever reason, a fear or an insecurity or something inside of me that will put me in a place of not saying anything. And so very important relationships have been ruined because of not dealing with things the way that they should have been dealt with. Now let me ask a question. Is there anybody among me that has a relationship that came to an end that you regret came to an end because you didn't handle something the way it should have been handled? It cost the relationship. Anybody willing to be honest to say that that has happened? I'm going to need you to vocally talk about it.
Yes, ma'am. I have.
I want somebody to share with me what that did. What did that do? What happened? What happened?
For me,
Go ahead.
I think it made me live with a place of regret and a place I had to constantly, forgive myself over. Because you realize how valuable the relationship really was, and all you had to do was find ways to communicate and work out the differences, and I didn't do that. So in the long run, it cost me something that I really loved and cherished. And you have to learn to pretty much live in the stays in until God allow restoration to come to it. And sometimes it may not. You just never know.
Okay. All right, Neat. What was you saying?
I agree with what Sharika said. It makes you look at yourself and makes you feel like you could have handled things a little bit different and compromised.
So now I want y'all to see yourselves in that place with God. You gotta understand that you can have the kind of relationship with God where you really can talk to Him about anything without having to have a fear that I can't say nothing to Him. Because the same way that it costs you those relationships that you have a regret for, it can cost you your relationship with Him. If there are things that you're holding back, if there are things that you're not, and you have to be honest, in a complete honesty, to say, you know what, hey, once you've started a relationship with Him, and when I say a relationship with Him, I mean when you've asked Jesus to come into your heart, to save you, to forgive you of your sins, that is the beginning of a born again life. Somebody that hadn't did that, they not in a born again stage. But I'm talking to my born again people that have asked Him to come into your life. You've asked Him to save you. Well, then you've started a relationship with Him. And if you are not honest with Him in the relationship, whether it's a complaint, whether it is a blessing, it's going to jeopardize the relationship. Let's go back to when we first started in the message. When I asked about talking to God, coming to God, and I didn't use the word complaint because I didn't want to bring out the message yet. But talking to God about, something that maybe you didn't understand. And it was kind of like, Rhoda and Pinkle said, yeah, I talked to him about those things, but they were still teeter-totting, still, pretty much kind of scared. And talking to him, didn't want to call it what it was. Anytime you are not openly honest about whatever it is, if it's Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care, then that's what it is. Because it's the truth of where you are. If it's I don't like it, it's I don't like it. It's the truth. If it's I love it, then it's I love it. It's the truth. It's the truth. Sometimes some things, you can talk to God about, and, well, I'm going to say it like this. If you don't talk to God about something, he can't fix it. If you don't talk to God about it, he can't fix it. So, in talking to God, most deliverance is a process. I gave my life to God, I think it was in 97. I want to say it was. It's 20-something years, I done forgot the number now. But it's been a process in order for me to get to the place where I've made it to. I couldn't have sat here and did this probably 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was still married, and in the midst of that marriage and going through, baby, I didn't know whether I wanted to be, Delphine one day, a Bruce Lee the next day, wanting to kill somebody. So I couldn't do deliverance. Had to be a process, with me. And so in my process, there were plenty times I had to be honest about what was happening with me. I had to be honest. I don't like it, God. I don't like it. Oh, I'm mad. You know what I'm saying? I'm mad. I really want to do such and such, having to be honest about it in order for deliverance to take place. In order for me to be able to get past it, with having to be honest. Even in certain things that we are made aware of, when it happens, we still somehow, sometimes find ourselves caught off guard with it. Because we didn't take it at face value of what was said. Case in point, I'm walking inside of my den. God always would talk to me in my den over at 204 Wyndham Drive. For some reason, that's where I heard God the most at, in my den. And I heard God say to me, he said, you're about to go through a storm. But if you don't fight the winds and the waves, they will begin to carry you ashore, because waves always wash in. You won't ever see a wave wash out. Y'all can go look all you want. I spent a lot of times on the ocean. Waves, if you want to know what shore is, if you ever get suspended out in the ocean, hope you don't, hope I don't, Lord. Watch how the waves are going to be going where shore is, because they wash in. He specifically set them like that. That's why you'll hear them say, a whale washed ashore, or sharks washed ashore, because they're always going to wash in. So if you want to ride a wave as a surfer, you've got to swim all the way out and then get on the crest of the wave, and the wave will ride you in. So God told me that. He said, now you're about to go through a storm. But if you don't fight the wind and the waves, they will carry you ashore. Well, Lord, have mercy. Y'all, even though God told me that, when the storm came, Delphine started tripping. I started tripping. And my trip was because I was losing control. That's why I was tripping. And it was exposing that my trust level was not where it was supposed to be or should have been. And it was about to be developed. I'm thinking, dude, you finna kill me. You know, with everything that's going on. No, I gotta, you know what I'm saying? I gotta take control over this. No, you finna try to kill me. No, if you listen to my voice, I will guide you. But I can't if you're gonna be fighting against it. So I go to church over at Destiny Church. Won't ever forget it. I'm in the way back in the back of we at the conference center. I'm sitting way back in the back. And I'm a dog if Pastor J does not say the same thing that God tried to tell me. He said, there's somebody in here. He said, the Lord said you going through a storm, but you fighting. And that's what's, you fighting the waves. Instead of riding the waves will bring you into safety. Most people drown. When you look into people drowning, it is because they be fighting, and the panic attack and the anxiety attack takes them under. 2 times he tried to tell me, but because I'm used to, at that time, I'm used to being in control. I was the control queen, baby. Because when you don't know surrender, you be in control. When you don't know surrender. I had to learn surrender, and it scared the life out of me. I mean, it scared the life out of me. Because I did not know surrender. I knew survival. But Delphine didn't know surrender. So in learning surrender, God, I bless your name this morning, man. Thank you for being patient with me. In having to learn surrender, complaints were part of my vocabulary. I don't understand why it is like this. That's fine. God knows it. God knows it. God knows it. He knows it. I'm really trying to minister to y'all today from a heavy place of love. God knows it. He knows it. Because chances are you haven't really learned surrender yet. And surrender is not an easy thing to learn. I'll just be honest with y'all. It's difficult. It's difficult. Because it means everything about me I've got to give over. I've got to give over. And the majority of us haven't ever had people in our lives that we could just give ourselves over and trust that they were going to be okay with us. What do you mean? See, some of us have been burnt by our parents. And because we got burnt by our parents, we scared to give ourselves over to them. If you tell, my mama right now is alive and is across town from me. But if you, even right now, if you said to me, well, you know what I'm saying, you can give yourself, put yourself, are you willing to put yourself over in your mama's hand? I'm finna look for somebody else. Ain't no need of me even lying about it. Right hand to the Father. Now, have I forgiven my mom concerning things? Yes, I have. But see, the state of my mama ain't changed. So that's why I wouldn't put myself in her hands, is because she ain't changed. You know, her state, her condition. I've had to forgive her for myself. Me. But that didn't mean she changed. So see, that's a whole nother message that y'all got to learn. Sometimes you got to just forgive them. You got to forgive them, but that don't mean they done changed. So no, ma'am. Would you put yourself in her hand? Oh, no. Get somebody else to do it. No. So some of you don't know surrender because you haven't had the people that were vital in your life were the people that broke your life. So you don't know surrender. But I'm trying to introduce you to someone today by the name of Jesus Christ. You can trust him. You can trust him. And I need you to understand that it's okay for you to talk to him regarding any of it, anything. It's okay. You haven't been completely honest with him. And I know you haven't because we've been taught to not be completely honest with him. Although it has been said, you can talk to God about anything. You ain't been talking to God about anything for real. And y'all know that. How many of you are going to call up God and tell God, now listen, I'm planning on going up here in just a few minutes and I'm finna go up here and I'm finna go get this me and this dude, we finna go and we finna lay up. Yeah, I'm finna have some sex, hot, passionate sex. We finna pour oil all over each other's body and we just about to just get down. Ain't nobody talking to God like that. But it's something we'll do, but it's not something that we feel we could talk to him about. I want you to understand. Tell that dude what's going on for real. That's surrender. Hey, man, I'm struggling in this area right here. For show. In this area. And I understand that deliverance don't happen overnight. I wish it did. I'd be delivered from everything so quick. I wouldn't be in the situations I'm in. But because deliverance don't happen overnight and there's a part of me that still ain't dead, this is the thing right here. This is what I'm asking that you do. You've got to talk to him in the same manner that David went to him. He said, look, my spirit is overwhelmed within me. It's overwhelmed. I got a lot going on. It's overwhelmed within me. I done realized that there's some traps that's done been privily been set for me. I done identified. See, that's the thing that's got to happen is you got to identify where the problems is coming from, what's actually going on. In order for me to get help in an area or for me to get delivered in an area, I gotta identify what my problems is. I get that. Hey, look, I can't be saying that. I'm tired of struggling with smoking cigarettes, but I got 3 packs of Newports on the dresser. That's the problem. That's the problem. Or the problem could be, it's the company that I keep. Because they be smoking cigarettes. So then when I go around them, now I want to smoke cigarettes. See, you got to identify what the problem is, what's going on. Why is it that every time I turn around, I find myself caught up in the sheets like this again? Well, you know what? It don't happen until I start feeling lonely. Or it don't happen until I start listening to slow jams. And then all of a sudden I'm in there playing them is anybody lonely? And they think, I'm in something I ain't got no business. See, it's to identify. What is my situation? I had to identify before I could learn to start surrendering. What was really going on with me? What's happening with you, Delphine? What is it? What's going on with you? And the reason why I am really telling y'all today to talk to God about that stuff is because it's him that's going to have to do it anyway. It's him that's going to have to do it. That's like me. If you come to me with it, and you're more than welcome to talk to me with it. But guess what? I can't do nothing but support you. I can stand in support of you. But I am not the one that brings the deliverance to you. Now, I will stand there all day long and say, look, I believe in you. Come on, you can do it. But notice what I'm having to say. I'm having to say you can do it, because I can't step in your body and do it for you. You can do it. I can cheer you on, and I don't mind cheering you on. I cheer y'all now. I don't mind. But it is a decision that you have to make, and you have to be comfortable with talking to the one that has the power to bring you out of that state or to help you with that state. If you see that it's something, even if it's something that you in and you want to keep, man, talk to God about it, man. Hey, listen, man. Okay, look, this is the deal right here. Fix this right here for me. You know, if you this one, having conversations, honest and truth conversations, is where the answer is. I don't want y'all afraid any more about talking to God about nothing. 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 I can honestly tell y'all, I've said it to God. God knows I ain't telling no lie. I got ready to do something, told the dude the truth. I said, hey, look, I'm about to do this. I'm sorry. But I had to look at me. That's the downside. You have to look back at yourself and say, what's wrong with me? And maybe once you get to that place of looking at yourself, and then I had to develop a value for myself, a better value system for myself, that's when I started coming out of it. I'm going to leave y'all with this. My prayer today is that you get a better value system for yourself. There's a difference between value and worth. Value is the sum total of who you are. Your worth is what people say you are. That is the reason why people will only give you $25 an hour, because they feel like that's what you're worth. But they know for a fact that what you're doing is $50 an hour for real. When you start dealing with worth, you're gonna be cheated somewhere in worth. But you can't cheat me with value. I'm at my value. You can cheat me with worth. So I'll keep fooling with you, and I'll keep laying up with you. I'll keep doing this or I'll keep doing that because I'm defined by worth. But when I ever get my value, you're going to have problems with me. Because my value is the sum total of who I am. It means I now have my identity. And I know that my identity is fine china, not crockery. Worth can be crockery. Value is fine china. That's why when you get the right one, he'll see you as fine china, not crockery. So if you ever want to know where you stand with a joker, see if he's dealing with your worth or is he dealing with your value. He'll put you on the shelf if it's fine china. He'll regard it in all capacities to make sure that it's well taken care of. It's polished and everything because he sees the value in it. But if it's somebody that you deal with that only deals with you because of your worth, they're going to gyp you every time. And you're not going to be who you are designed to be when you're dealing with people. You can put it with anybody. I just used the analogy of a relationship. But you can put that with anybody. If you have a friendship, if they only see you for what you're worth, and don't see you in your value, it's going to be some problems all the time. Because see, you're not going to be able to be who you really are. You're not going to be able to display yourself for who you really are, because they don't see the sum total of who you are. All they know is what you're worth. You're worth this to me. You worth my, whenever I want to talk to somebody, I can call you and I can talk to you. You worth that little bit. You worth what I can get out of you when I want to get it out of you. See, it's not that worth. I try to stay away from worthless situations and deal with value. Any questions, any comments?
I just love that nugget you left us with. That value versus worth.
Mm-hmm.
We deal with that in all aspects of our life.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me feel some type of way. It brightened me. It enlightened me. Mm-hmm. We are diamonds and raw. And we must respect that as our value. Stop falling to these shortcomings, which can't do nothing for us. It's funny, like every time when I fall into sin, I get back up. But when I do, during the process or in getting in it or whatever, I hear Pastor Lee. It's just a joy to me to have a pastor to love us in spite of our downfalls. And I trust her with the words, and I just thank her so much for allowing me to be a part of this team. Y'all, we're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Just put our value first.
Mm-hmm.
And throw away that word.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't getting us nowhere.
Mm-hmm. You know about how they treat you. You know. That fine china, you ain't going to just put it anywhere. You ain't going to do anything to fine china. It costs too much. It's rare. It's rare. If you are common to a person, you're not fine china. I can't be common to you. I'm not even common in ministry. That's why I'm in a league by myself. That's why I don't fool with other people. I didn't mean to say that the way that came out. But you don't catch me in a pack with preachers. I'm fine china. I'm telling people the truth. And caring about what's happening with their lives and where their lives go and what they do in life. I ain't, it's fine. I'll get where I need to be. But I ain't got to rip y'all off to get there. Tell God about it. Talk to God about this. Honestly, about every place where you are. Tell him, even in the era, man, look, it's not something that I plan to continue to do, God. I understand I need show me why I keep doing it. Because it's like I said, many of us don't know surrender because the people that were supposed to teach us surrender, they were the ones that hurt us. So we don't know how to just yield to God. I got to take care of me. It's everything about me. I got to look out for me. I got to do this for me because ain't nobody else going to do this. I got to this. I got to that. That's the kind of mindset that we've developed because of the things that we've had to go through and stuff that we've had to face. Well, I need to tell y'all that don't, God ain't in that bunch. He don't fit that script. I might have hurt you. Your parents may have hurt you. Somebody you've been in a relationship may have hurt you. You may have had friends that's done hurt you. And all of us, I take the blame on all of that. But God ain't in that league we were in. He ain't do that. And he's not going to do that. So develop a healthy relationship with him. Not one, that religion done tricked you into thinking that you got to have, but really develop a healthy one with him. Because I showed y'all how when David first started in verse 1, he went to God with his request. He had already had the formality of how he was going to talk to God. But then he said, no, man, I need to tell you the truth. I got an issue. I got a problem. That's the place that I want us to know it's okay to be there. We can do that. We can do that. I got a problem. Are all hearts and minds clear? Any questions? Any comments?
I think my takeaway would be is that you said, well, one of the key things that stood out to me is that you said, I didn't know surrender, I knew survival. And so what I find myself saying lately is, God, I trust you to the best of my ability that I know how as of right now. Because I realized in those places I couldn't control, what you said is like the controlling factors. I've always knew how to look out for myself. I always knew how to, what I considered looking out for myself and doing for myself, and literally saying, God, I'm taking my hands off it. I know you really know best. Try my best to stay out of your business and try my best to get an understanding regarding things, to not be afraid to talk to you about things, and to not run away from things, so I can understand where he's even coming from. So like literally learning, having a corresponding relationship with him. And so like my thing about was complaining was, it's okay. When I looked up the definition after you asked the question, I was like, oh, okay, I do that. But like, you think about the children of Israel and they did all the complaining, the murmuring and stuff. But I'm learning to posture myself for his response so I can do things different and take a different approach. And I realize I don't trust God like I should, or like I want to.
It's because you don't know surrender. But you're working on it. Keep working on it.
I am.
Keep working on it. You don't know surrender. When you don't know surrender, you don't trust him for real, y'all. Man, I went so many years lying saying I trusted God. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I trusted Delphine. Boy, that's why I would, shoot. I'd make a way myself real quick, like, wouldn't give God time to do nothing. Because I knew survival. That was what I knew. But let me enlighten y'all with something else before I go. There's either heaven or hell. There's no in between. That's why God doesn't deal with lukewarmness. Because there's no in between. So either you're going to be surrendered to him or you're going to be surrendered to the enemy. The middle part is being surrendered to myself. But check this out. I ain't got nowhere to go. I can't do nothing. So, yeah, you can't understand. I'll let you get in. But so, I'm either going to be surrendered to God or I'm going to be surrendered to hell. It's one of the two. So, either way, I'm going to be surrendered to something. I just rather be surrendered to what's right and what's going to be peaceful for me and what's going to, get the best out of my life. Because hell will kill you. Real quick, too. Neat got something to say. Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say, as we was growing up, there was a lot of things that we were not taught, and it costed us, down the line. And then as you grow and get older, there were things that were taught. And even though it was taught, that doesn't mean that it was right. So this right here is tight, but it's right. You just have to cycle through things and make better choices and decisions on things. But This is very powerful. And if we had more teachers like you, I think the world would be a better place, because it's nothing but the truth. And I just want to say I appreciate you and everyone that is connected to the LG Center. And we just going to continue pressing going forward. I love y'all, and I thank you.
Amen. 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 Anybody else got anything? And she's telling the truth. We're having to undo. I told y'all we was going to have to undo some things today. We're going to have to throw away some stuff in our heads, pick up some new stuff. Anybody else got anything this morning? Well, it's the afternoon now. Well, this is part 3 of the War Within. So I think I've left y'all, some good nuggets. I pray that you were actually able to hear and get some understanding with some things. Those of you that haven't shared or don't say anything, I hope it ain't because, I hope it's just because you're just shy and you ain't, you're not saying anything. So I hope you're getting what's going on, because I can promise you, you're going to be faced with it. You're going to be faced with it. Probably already getting faced with it right now. So, because messages come about whenever something is about to happen or something is happening. That is when God will start talking. When, God doesn't need to speak to your past. Your past is already gone. But he needs to talk to your now and your future. So either you're in it or you're about to go in it. And that's why God is talking. So make sure that you pay close attention to what he's saying in this time and in this hour, so you'll be able to pass the test and you can make it where you need to make it to. The greatest thing that you could ever give yourself is to give yourself surrender. That's the greatest thing that you could give yourself, is to give yourself surrender. And that is surrendering over to God. Surrendering everything over to him. So, Father, I give you me. I give you me. I give you me. And then, and it may be times I take me back, and may you forgive me, for those times, and be merciful with me while I'm learning the process of surrender. Be gracious with me while I'm learning the process of surrender. I've been taught certain things that have kept me from a place of surrender. I've housed fear that has kept me from a place of surrender. I've been hurt, and it has caused me to step back from a place of surrender. But those things I relinquish over to you now. I give every bit of the hurt to you now, all of the distrust. I give all of it over to you now. And I say to you, let the process of surrender begin, God, to allow me to become who you want me to be, so I can surrender into you. And everything that you have for me can be birthed out of it. All of the promises that you have for my life is birthed out of my surrender. All of the breakthroughs is birthed out of my surrender. All of the favor is birthed out of my surrender. My prosperity is birthed out of my surrender. Everything about me that excels is birthed out of my surrender. Even when I go to a job to work for people, I get paid because of my surrender. I surrender 40 hours, they give me pay. Everything is based off of an act of surrender. So I've got to know how to surrender to the right thing. And I'm asking that you be gracious to me to help me to surrender over to the right things, to make the right decisions, God, to make the right choices. Now, please forgive me of all the times that I have not. In the manners of standing in my own way, doing my own thing. Please forgive me. And I can't even tell you that I won't do it again. I wouldn't dare say that. But I ask that you show the hand of mercy to me and guide me every step of the way. If I find myself going out further than I need to, do me like you did in the Bible when you left the 99 and went looking for the one. Let me be the one that's worth you coming after, God. Let me be the one that you will come find, Lord, and bring me back into the fold where I am supposed to be. That's what I ask that you would do for me, God. Grace me so every day with your presence. Grace me every day, Father, with your love. Just grace me with the ability to become better and to do better, Lord, that I might see the fulfillment of your purpose in my life. And this is what I ask. I ask this in Jesus' name, the greatest name that there will ever be. It's the greatest name that was. Before his name, there was no power. But the Bible says that he exalted him and gave him a name which is above every name. And it's at that name we making a choice to bow. And it is at that name we making a choice today to confess that he is the Lord and he is Lord of our lives. So do what it is that you desire to do with us that makes us better. Amen. All right, you good people. I love y'all. Let's see what this day gonna hold for me. What I'm gonna get into. Nothing much, probably. I got my sheets and now I gotta go make up my bed. And so I'm gonna figure. I took that deer meat out you gave me. I want me a hamburger, but I don't like beef, so I'm gonna use that deer meat and make me a deer burger.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.